Welcome to Crucible Clips 5150, where the clown's in flames and the truth's on trial. I'm Filibastard the Clown, and tonight I'm impeaching your comfort zone. Did you see Dave Smith on Louder with Crowder?
Listen to that, Mr. Dave Smith.
Oh boy, within 30 minutes he wanted Trump impeached, locked up, and buried under the prison. Buried under the prison! That's not a political position. That's a Stephen King novel. Now, I like Dave. He's sharp, he's funny, but sometimes he gets so confused you'd think he was trying to order tacos at a sushi bar. Half the time he's got great libertarian takes, the other half he's calling for Trump to be entombed. I mean, come on. And Crowder? Usually, Crowder's like a pit bull on Red Bull. But with Dave, he went soft. Real soft. It was like watching Mike Tyson shadowbox a teddy bear. Oh, interesting point, Dave. Interesting. Instead of pressing him, Crowder just nodded along. Nodded. When the obvious question was, okay, Dave, walk us through it. What crime? What evidence? What standard? Instead, he let Dave float away on a hot air balloon of rhetoric. And the audience, they didn't get the clash of ideas. They got a Hallmark movie. This is Dave Smith, libertarian pitbull, Rogan regular, and former Trump voter calling for political execution. And Crowder, the king of Mug Club? He just sat there. No jokes, no pushback, just silence. We don't do loyalty. We do accountability. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good. So, without further ado, if you would please buckle the fuck up. Cupcake, here's what you missed while you were busy doom scrolling on the toilet at work today.
Mr. Smith, can you see me? Can you hear me, sir?
I can indeed. Do you see and hear me?
I do, and I'm angry because you seem to be aging at a much slower rate than the catcher's mitt in front of you.
Is that true?
Yeah, it is. You got that thick head of black hair, and it's like every day I wake up and I have a new wrinkle. So you and John Stossel, adrenochrome, we don't need to talk about it.
Did you just tell me I have a thick head of hair? Do you have body dysmorphia? How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as a bald man, Stephen?
No, I don't see myself as a bald man. I just see your hair as luscious. And we don't need to talk about that right now. This is veering into people they want to see blood, kid. But look, Dave, did I miss anything as far as like plugs or the upcoming shows? I know your podcast, your ex. What's the best place for people to go find you?
No, all that stuff's good. ComicDaveSmith.com is my website if people want to go check that out. But all that was good.
Okay. Well, and I'm very glad that we've had you on the show. I know you had some scheduling issues, and I just want to set the stage here for a little bit, and then I want to give you the floor. Look, I think here's the reason that you're on the show. For people who don't know, this goes back several months. I think that you and I agree on a whole lot more than we disagree, which is why I was surprised at some of your takes. For example, like I think on foreign aid, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on any of this or you disagree, I don't think we should be providing foreign aid to anybody, Israel included, as well as all the surrounding nations. I think we fund all sides of this war. I think we do that a whole lot. Stop all of it. Let the chips fall where they may. I agree with you that no one should have secret nukes. I think that Israel's nukes are so secret that Dave Smith and Steven Crowder can talk about it on a podcast, but I don't think that anyone should be able to have some kind of a different protocol on nukes. AIPAC, I've said they should go screw themselves with a wire brush. I don't like any lobbying group that acts outside of America's interests. I think we would agree on most of that. And as I understand it, you're pro-life. You've talked about that. I know when we test called, you have a cute little guy about the same age as mine, and I think that fundamentally changes you. All of these things, we'd be aligned. This is why I'm such a universe apart, where when I invited you on the show, where you called for impeaching President Trump. That's definitely a divergence, and I don't see how that's better for America or the movement if we agree on so much. Could you, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, well, yeah, I think I certainly would agree with you on all the things that you outlined there. But I think I would go a bit further and say that not only am I very critical of the foreign aid to Israel or critical of AIPAC, but I'm also very critical of the neoconservatives who are essentially, a core constituency in the Israel lobby. I'm very critical of the Republican Party that essentially allowed the neocons to become the drivers of U.S. foreign policy in the George W. Bush administration, and many people who still have those same tendencies. I mean, the Mark Levins and Ted Cruz's and people like that, well, maybe not officially, technically neocons, certainly are in effect no different from them. And so in terms of, one of the things in terms of me calling for Trump's impeachment, one of the things that's interesting to me is that I got so many people as a response to that who essentially, were saying Ben Shapiro and Josh Hammer and all these guys criticizing me. Look at him. He's betrayed Donald Trump. All the neocons, Mark Levin, the never Trumpers. The original 2016 Never Trumpers. Like, I still remember that copy of National Review. I'm sure you do too. They all said, but no, look, to me, I don't have any loyalty to any politician because I'm a free man in the United States of America.
Sure.
Donald Trump launched a war of choice, a war of aggression on behalf of a foreign country while we were in the middle of negotiations with said country. I thought it was an unbelievably reckless decision. Thankfully, at least for now, it didn't turn into a catastrophe like many of the other conflicts have. And Trump deserves certainly a good portion of the credit for that. But no, I don't take that back at all. I believe that America should only fight wars when America is threatened. And I don't believe in this adventurism, which I think is absolutely crazy, which continues under the Trump administration, continued under the Biden and obviously the Obama and Bush administrations. I'm against all of this stuff. So yeah, I was loudly in opposition to the Iran war.
Okay, true. Going back to the impeachment, that was the original question. So you stand by it. Here's the thing. Being real world conservative, right wing, small L libertarian, what mechanism would you have in place for that? And how is that better for America? Because obviously, even if we get to a mechanism, you'd lame duck the most effective president of our lifetime. I think it's hard to argue the most anti-war president of our lifetime. And you'd end up with 4 years of like a Biden or a Gavin Newsom or a Whitmer. That's how it plays out in the real world. You okay with it? I'm not. That's where I disagree.
Well, I think, first of all, J.D. Vance would become the president if Donald Trump was removed. But again,
more hawkish than Trump, though, so it doesn't fix the problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. And I don't know if I agree with you that, look, if you're comparing Donald Trump to Obama and George W. Bush and Joe Biden, yes, okay, he's preferable to them. But again, I'm just making the point.
I think it's, and I think we have to, I just think this is an important difference. That's where I think we separate. I am comparing him to all presidents before him and the alternatives. And even if J.D. Vance becomes president, I know it goes to the lineage Vance, and then I believe it's Johnson, Rubio. It would be a lame duck presidency, right? Because the public would just see this man's impeached for the third time, corruption, and it would be waiting out the clock until there's another election.
Well, first of all, the first 2 times Donald Trump was impeached, he was impeached for complete nonsense. And so it would be a little bit different to have a president impeached for launching an illegal war. That is a very different thing. But I think the more important point here is that, look, obviously there's no mechanism for me to have Donald Trump impeached. I'm not a member of Congress who's introducing articles of impeachment. I'm a commentator who was on record supporting Donald Trump in 2024. And so when the war first broke out, what I was doing was saying in the loudest possible way that there's a huge group of people here who supported you, who are not only upset about this, but are repudiating everything about you, are criticizing you in the strongest possible language. Now, I am one of, in terms of the Trump base of influential support, I'm one of the smaller members who was criticizing him. He had Steve Bannon and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and even Charlie Kirk, who didn't exactly criticize him, but certainly was critical of the idea of getting into a regime change war with Iran. And I felt like at the time,
but did they call for impeachment and execution?
Did I call for execution?
You have. You said that Donald Trump should be buried beneath the prison for war crimes.
Oh, yeah, he is. Okay. Well, that's a separate thing. But what I called for in this case was.
But did they do anything comparable?
Well, hold on.
Hold on, Dave. You tend to filibuster, and I want to stick to this just because this is outside of that. I don't think we have that big of a disagreement. Right?
Well, I don't think I'm filibustering. I was just trying to finish my point.
Okay. So I think you've already described, answer right, the mechanism. The mechanism in place would be Congress, correct? I'm not saying that you do it yourself, Dave. But like you said, you were using an influential platform. There were some other people, and largely the left, who were calling for impeachment. So I think that still you stand by it. But the real world fallout of that is far worse for the United States and for the Keep America, Make America Great, America First movement. And that's where I think we diverge. And when I see you saying that, first off, it gives me pause. And I only see you just mentioned those people, and the left calling for his impeachment. And you say, well, yeah, he's better than these other presidents. Okay, so what would be better if you're calling for the impeachment? And it could be facetious, the execution of Donald Trump. That seems pretty extreme, and it seems like a big difference.
I mean, again, you can say I'm filibustering, but let me explain my position here. Is that the point I was making was that so many of Donald Trump's most important, and there's really never been a moment in my lifetime like that before. There's really never been, I can't think of any time where George W. Bush did something and Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly were just like, that's it. We're done supporting him. And Obama never lost Rachel Maddow or something like that. And I think the fact that so many of us stood up against that was, in terms of, like, to your point, in terms of the real world, what can we actually do? I think that was the most effective thing that we could do at that point, was just to make it very clear that if you do get us into another catastrophic war here, you're going to lose a huge portion of your support. This is the only incentive that politicians respond to.
Okay.
Now, in terms of your point about me,
can I address that?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So, and I know that you and I think we both share a fundamental hatred of mischaracterizations. Hopefully, you don't think that I've done that here. I've asked these questions fairly. I think that's a mischaracterization, and I think it was at large, of Donald Trump from you. I think to say that he should be impeached based on a betrayal, when we probably don't have a president with a more clear track record on any issue than Donald Trump on Iran. If I said Israel, I meant to say Iran, where he said they can't get nukes. That famous escalator ride down, immediately said, and if I'm president, Iran won't get nukes. And before that, on X, saying Iran cannot get a nuke, 60 days talking, negotiating. They weren't playing ball. Time is up. You can disagree with it. But to suggest that that's a betrayal, I would say that it's the exact opposite. People maybe need to do the research on the candidate who they're supporting, in your case, endorsing, electing. He was very consistent about that.
No, I disagree completely. And I think that Donald Trump also bragged about not getting us in any new wars and bragged about ending wars, and many of which he didn't end. But no, I mean, look, there's a major difference between just saying Iran won't get nukes, which could mean anything, and saying I will launch a war against Iran if they enrich up to 60% and are still willing to negotiate down the enrichment. I'm sorry, those are just very different things.
Well, you called for his impeachment before he launched the strike, and we're not at war. Dave, you've been talking. Hold on a second.
Man.
You always do this where you say, let me finish a sentence, but then you address a point and then scattershot on different points. You called for this before.
I'm on the exact point that you just asked me about, Stephen. You're claiming I'm filibustering. You're interrupting every time I speak.
No, I'm not, Dave. I want to address that one point, and then we'll go back. We're not at war. You called for his impeachment before the strike. I do think if you're talking about, what other option outside of diplomacy, because you said there are many other options, it could mean anything. Donald Trump, again, in context, if you look at the context, said it was a huge failure, Barack Obama's policy on Iran. He said that you cannot set red lines that you do not enforce, and I will enforce my red lines. Donald Trump was very clear. He set a red line, 60 days are up, so we've tried the diplomacy. Well, what other mechanisms are in place to prevent it?
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't think, again, if you're saying that enriching up to 60% was the big problem, then the JCPOA wasn't a failure. They weren't enriching anywhere near to that level until Donald Trump tore up the agreement, excuse me, or walked away, pulled America out of the agreement. And yes, he arbitrarily set a timeline of 60 days, but there were meetings scheduled for the next day or 2 days later when Israel first struck them and Donald Trump walked away. So the alternative was obviously to keep negotiating. Look, Iran was there to negotiate down the 60% enrichment. They had been down to 3 to 5% when America was good standing members of the JCPOA. The obvious alternative would have been to keep negotiating.
So you believe that it's a more effective form of world leadership in an impeachable offense to set a date, a timeline, say last call. I've counted to 3, count to 3, and then say, I didn't mean it?
No, I'm saying.
But that would be what he would do effectively, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's silly for a president to do that.
Right. But that's not what I said. But you think what you said is silly. Okay. But what I'm saying.
No, he did say, right, we're 60 days up. Was Iran negotiating? Did Iran come to the negotiating table? Did Iran allow
You just
inspections?
finish whenever you want to, and then I'll try to.
Oh, I asked you that. Were the 60 days up? Did Donald Trump count to 3?
Yeah.
So he should continue negotiating after he sets a red line.
Yeah, well, he would. Well, no, Stephen. It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more than 1 cent.
Okay.
It's a little bit more than 1 centimeter deep.
So that's all I've got for you today, my subscribed compatriots. Unless you're still out here clapping for the kind of clown who'll fake cry on cue, sell his soul for a sponsor, and call it virtue. I'm Filibastard the Clown, and I don't peddle Pentagon punchlines or Pfizer-approved empathy soaked in propaganda. I torch it all and laugh while the ashes settle. Yes, we all know who I'm talking about. Fuck you, Jimmy Kimmel, as the once great Ice Cube once said.
With no Vaseline.
That man has proven he will do and or say anything for a buck. From the Man Show until now, we all see how fake you are.
Today, we salute you, man of Un-Uniqueness.
Man of Un-Uniqueness.
You fake a cry for ratings, sell war with a wink, and call it comedy. You're not just a fraud. You're the prototype for every virtue-slinging puppet who thinks a laugh track makes violence digestible.
Pfizer punchlines and Pentagon lullabies.
You virtue signal like it's a sport, sob on cue like it's scripted, and still sleep soundly knowing you helped sell suffering with a smile.
Empathy for hire.
So here's to you, Jimmy Kimmel, the man of Un-Uniqueness. May your monologues rot in syndication and your tears be forever sponsored.
Man of Un-Uniqueness.
Fuck you, Jimmy.
That means shut up in Spanish.